Welcome to the GTN show, and we are just a few days out from another World Championships, and the weather's actually taken a little bit of a turn there, but that aside, we are going to be sharing our thoughts on the impressive athlete lineup.
Plus, we have some tech updates, both from Zwift and Wahoo, plus a bit of a legal battle brewing between the two, and another pro cyclist has started triathlon. Let's start with taking a look at some of the stuff we've noticed on the internet over the last week. Starting with this, good news for Gwen Jorgensen and husband Pat Lumeau, and they welcomed the second baby boy to their family. George was born just a few days ago, a little baby brother for their older kid, Stanley.
Oh, congratulations, guys. Well, now we have this post from Lucy, and we alluded to in the intro that the weather has started to change in St George, where the Ironman 70.3 World Champs are about to take place. And Lucy posted this saying, crazy change in the seasons here in Utah. Now, you might remember the GTN were out there in May, and it was pretty scorching then, and we're kind of only just really the other side of that season, aren't we? But she said in the last week, we've gone from golden trees to tree strip bare, and now a full snowstorm. Quite normal here, so I'm told, but still incredible to see. And she has actually put a few posts on her Instagram stories as well, which is apparently from Cedar City, where it's much higher, but still it's a lot of snow. Yeah,
she was clearly doing her final training camp there at a slightly higher altitude, but the temperatures in St George may be something to discuss. We'll talk more about that a bit later.
Yeah, well, this next post, slight disappointment for Ailish McColgan, a British middle distance runner, well, long distance runner, for the 10K record that she recently broke for Scotland has been revoked because the course apparently was 150 metres short.
Yeah, there's no real excuse for that.
I mean, it's not a track run, in case you're wondering here.
Yeah,
It's
the
a
Great
road
Scottish
race.
Run was obviously measured. They went to validate it afterwards, and it was 150 metres short, and therefore her 10,000 metre British record can't stand.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely gutting, because you imagine she probably had quite, like, maybe more in the tank. Anyway.
She did say afterwards that she had the feeling that the course might have been a bit short.
Oh, did she?
Yeah,
okay.
So I don't think it was a complete surprise to her, but still very frustrating. Also noticed this from Vincent Louis, who has had a pretty bad season with injuries, but he's planning to end it on a high. He's entered two non-drafting races. He says just registered for two non-draft races in December, but before that, let's finish the WTCS circuit on a high note. That includes Bermuda WTCS and then Abu Dhabi WTCS to round out the year, and then two non-drafting races. He doesn't actually say what those two are. I imagine he's on Bahrain 13, so one of them will be 70.3 Bahrain, I imagine. The other one, we're not really sure. Might be Clash Daytona. There's a lot of money on that one.
Yeah, keeping us guessing. Nice. This one here just caught my eye just as a light-hearted post. I mean, triathlon memes do put some funny stuff out. Spy shots of On's newest shoe. Heelys making a comeback. It's just funny. Obviously, if you guys missed it, Gustav Eden won the Ironman World Champs. I'm sure you didn't miss that part, but wearing some rather large stack height with his On shoes.
Yeah, so. No rules on Ironman shoes, apparently, yeah. Also, we noticed this from Flora Duffy. Unique custom tote bags designed by Studium Global are in benefit of the Flora Fund. All proceeds going to support young, aspiring athletic talent in Bermuda. Since 2018, the Flora Fund has awarded more than $55,000 in grants across numerous sports. They're only available in Bermuda from Bates in Devonshire, and they're made from recycled sails. This is pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, they look cool too. And this final post, we noticed Jan Frodeno helping a cyclist into triathlon. I mean, if you can get a swim lesson from anyone, I mean, Jan Frodeno's a man, isn't it? So this is actually Carlos Verona, who's a Movistar pro cyclist who decided he wanted to have a go at the Esquel Triathlon, which happened over the weekend. And, I mean, it's Jan's brainchild, this event, and he got none other than the man himself to coach him for swimming, to get him ready for it. And, there's a few posts here of his progress as he was getting ready for that.
Yeah, it looks like he had a lot of fun. Esquel, not exactly a high-pressure triathlon.
It's not quite like a pro-level event, is it?
As your first triathlon, it's more of a fun event, but I'm sure he had a lot of fun.
Best way to entice someone in, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe. We have another World Champs coming up this weekend, but before we get to that, we're going to circle back to the topic we covered last week, and that is, should the Ironman World Champs remain in Kona? Now, a lot of comments came on last week's show from you guys, a lot of points made. It seems to be more people since Kona has happened are more in favour of perhaps rotating world champs. There's definitely been a bit of a shift since world champs happened and was so expensive in a 2-day format for the first time. Barry Field says, as far as Kona is concerned, tradition is great, but let's be pragmatic about it. There are beautiful venues all over the world with the expertise to stage such an event. Check out the Olympics for ideas.
Do you know, the funny thing is the Olympics are looking at being in a couple of venues to make it more sustainable. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. Matthew Kay says, love the idea of World Championship. Going on tour all around the world somewhere in Germany, Austria or Switzerland would be epic. I reckon Matthew Kay is from Europe.
Maybe,
probably.
yeah. Rich Hold says, I really like how they do 70.3 World Champs, going to a normal race venue but then make the World Champs course more difficult than the normal race course. And Chris Brunette says, moving the Ironman World Champs somewhere else would be like moving the Boston Marathon somewhere else. Kona is Kona. So contrary opinion there.
Yeah, exactly. Jagruti Rathod said, it's my dream to do Kona. The World Championships was anywhere other than Kona, I'd really think twice whether willing to pay much. And we saw that with St George and some athletes choosing not to go and waiting for Kona.
Yeah, it seems like it's both sides of the argument still. And Colin B says, the World Champs allows kids from other countries to get caught up in the buzz and start to dream. It will allow athletes who favour different environments on equal footing, which is fairer. Kona will always be special, but moving the World Champs around will allow others to race the course, provide wider promotion of the sport, and if the locals no longer want it, it'll ease some of the tensions, hopefully avoiding an outright ban, which is a good point because if it gets to the point that the locals get so furious with Kona and they ban it outright, you can't have it rotating there every 3 or 4 years and keep the prestige of the race. So good points all round. But from that World Champs, let's move on to another World Champs coming up this weekend, and that does rotate, and this time it's in St George.
Although it does feel like we've been to St George quite a few times.
It does. I feel like St George seems to be the place that everything's rotating to at the moment. It will be the women on Friday and the men on Saturday at St George in Utah. And that was supposed to be in Taupo, New Zealand, actually.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was only back in COVID and everything changed who knows how many times. But anyway, it's going to be one exciting race because we've got some athletes who are coming hot off the back of the full distance World Championships. How many weeks ago? When did you guys
3 weeks, yeah.
come back? Yeah, so 3 weeks to recover from that to then race again. And we've also got some 70.3 specialists. I think we should take a closer look.
The women will start their race on Friday, October 28th. As we said, they have their own race on the Friday for the women, and the favourite there is defending champion Lucy Charles-Barkley. She's obviously fresh off that second place at the Ironman World Champs only 3 weeks ago, but as defending champ and clearly in good form, I think she maybe is everyone's favourite.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting to see. But she's got 2 Olympians joining her. Taylor Nebb, who's just actually on the podium at a WTCS race in Italy, along with Flora Duffy, who's got that wild card that we've discussed in the past. And then there's the 70.3 specialists, so the likes of Emma Pallant-Brown, you've got Holly Lawrence in there, Paula Finley as well. So some really class athletes going to be mixing up and giving Lucy a run for her money.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to predict how that women's race is going to unfold. And then the following day, we have the men. And the favourites there are the Norwegians, of course. Gustav Iden is obviously 70.3 world champ, defending champ, and then you've got Christian Blumenfeld, who won in St George in May at the Ironman World Champs and was recently 3rd at the Ironman World Champs in Kona. Those two are definitely your favourites, I think. The only question is whether they can back up from Kona only 3 weeks ago, because that's a tough ask for anyone, and if anyone can do it, though.
Yeah, well, there's another athlete who's going to be trying that, Magnus Ditlev, who finished 8th in Kona. He is going straight out to try and get another, hopefully a podium for him. Aaron Royal, who's going to be mixing it up there. We've got Ben Canute, Jackson Laundrie and Eric Lagerstrom as well. And then there's an athlete who really sort of was quite open early on in the season to say he wasn't going to do the Ironman World Championships to focus on the 70.3, and that is Sam Long. Yeah, he was runner-up to Gustav Iden at the last 70.3 World Championships, which was also in St George, and he built his whole season around this one, so he'll definitely be looking to upset the Norwegians and take advantage of the fact that they did an Ironman only 3 weeks ago. Remains to be seen. But what we might be talking about after this weekend is not the racing at all. It might be the weather, because the Ironman World Champs, 70.3 World Champs, has moved from Taupo, New Zealand, where it was supposed to be, and it was supposed to be on the 10th or 11th of December this year, but they couldn't have it there because New Zealand has been very slow to open its borders to tourists. So they moved it to St George again, and they've moved it about 6 weeks earlier to the end of October.
which doesn't really compensate for the fact that it's been moved from the southern hemisphere and very much summer in New Zealand to very much the start of winter, deep autumn in the northern hemisphere, and it might be a little bit chilly on race day.
It's this time of year, isn't it, when suddenly things are changing. You could get a really hot spell, or you could be getting the first signs of winter. And we've obviously seen Lucy's posts where the temperatures have suddenly been dropping. And I think a few weeks ago, athletes were believing what we could actually see on the Ironman website, which said, what, average temperature is 22, I think, something, or no, water temperature 22,
yeah.
Average 29.
Yeah.
So, but we're now seeing reports that is dropping quite considerably, especially overnight. And the athletes are going to be starting at 7:30 in the morning before the sun has risen, getting into a reservoir. So there's going to be some tactical decisions on, I think, equipment choices in particular.
Yeah, the highs on race day are actually predicted to be 19 for the women's race and 20 or 21 for the men's, which is just 66 Fahrenheit for the American viewers and 70 Fahrenheit on Saturday, which seems completely reasonable. But it's that pre-dawn temperature, which is around 5 to 6 degrees Celsius, 40 to 43 degrees Fahrenheit. When you get out of that water, you're dripping wet from being in the Sand Hollow Reservoir, and then you've got to get on your bike and go flying down those hills and around those bends. It's going to be pretty cold, and you're going to have to choose what you're going to wear. I wouldn't like to make those decisions, because how much time do you give up in transition to put on arm warmers or gloves even if it is cold? I mean, some people are saying that on some of those hills like Snow Canyon, it can be below zero in the early hours of the morning because it doesn't get the sun for a while. And you've got to dress for that.
I hope there's not ice on the roads.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't really get wet, does it?
Yeah,
It's the middle of the
dry.
desert, so it'll be dry, but it is going to be cold, bitterly cold. Like Heather says, they're starting before dawn. Dawn is 5 to 8, and they're starting at 7:30, the pros. So they'll be getting out the water at exactly dawn, which is going to be cold. Anyway, it promises to be exciting racing. We can't wait to watch it. Hopefully, afterwards, we are talking about the exciting racing and not the weather conditions in pretty much the beginning of November in St. George.
All right, on to Tri News. And there's a rather large battle going on at the moment between Zwift and Wahoo, as they're both starting to encroach on each other's territories. And Wahoo are actually suing Zwift over the turbo trainer they call the Zwift Hub Turbo Trainer that they launched just a month ago, along with Jet Black and another turbo company. And Wahoo are actually saying that they are copycat products and they are bad for the cycling community. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they do go on to say that we are still going to be working with them. So it's quite an interesting debate that's happening.
Pretty much started their press release was with, we're going to reassure everyone we're still going to work with Wahoo and we're not going to ban them from using our Zwift platform and vice versa. But at the same time, Wahoo is suing Zwift for copycat with the Zwift Hub. So it's all a bit... we did say this when they actually released the Zwift Hub. We spoke about it and said this is a bit of a Wahoo, Zwift dipping into Wahoo's territory and Wahoo dipping into Zwift's territory with their RGT. And now the lines are getting blurred and lawyers are getting involved, which is not nice to see, but I don't think it's really as bad as it sounds. They do say we would like, therefore, to take this opportunity to assure our present and future customers that Zwift is committed to being an open platform that integrates with all third-party hardware options, including Wahoo, of course. Despite taking legal action against a fellow American company, Wahoo has made it clear that in its initial statement that it intends to keep working with Zwift in the future. So you don't need to worry about your hardware suddenly not talking to Zwift because of this lawsuit, but it is quite interesting that Wahoo is suing Zwift over this. Zwift has made it clear that they strongly reject and will contest the allegations made by Wahoo that they copied their Wahoo kicker when they made the Zwift Hub that they released last month.
Yeah, watch this space. On to running now, and New York Marathon is going to be the first of the Abbott World Marathon Series to actually have a prize purse for the non-binary category. They're awarding $5,000 to the winner of this category. It's $100,000 to the elite men and the elite women winners. This category actually came about in 2021, in June last year, and they've already had a qualification for this and prize money for some of the events leading into the New York Marathon.
Yeah. The CEO of New York Roadrunners, Karen Hempel, said, "We are so proud that the TCS New York City Marathon attracts such a diverse and global community of runners, and we are deeply focused on ensuring all our athletes feel welcome and included at New York Roadrunners." They actually also have created a number of other diversity initiatives, including a course record bonus for the professional wheelchair division, a relaunch of their program offering race fee assistance for under-resourced runners, and a private tent for nursing mothers near the start line so that they can pump just before the race, which is a really cool initiative.
Well, it's going to be held on the 6th of November, and after reduced capacity field last year as they were coming back from the pandemic, it's going to be back to its full capacity of 50,000 runners.
Moving on with some triathlon awards, and Challenge Roth has received the Bavaria Sports Award, and it's the first time in the history of this award that it's been awarded to an organisation instead of an individual, and it's for outstanding promotion of sport. Felix Volschoffer, the race director of Challenge Roth, has recognised the over 7,500 volunteers that help make Roth happen each year. He said, "We still can't believe Roth is in the same league as sporting legends like Dirk Nowitzki and Haug and countless Olympic champions. However, this prize is not for us, the organisation of the race, but for everyone who makes this race possible," nodding to the volunteers, of course. "It is thanks to them that we can fulfil thousands of dreams here in Roth every year." So well done to the organisers of Challenge Roth there. And there's some other awards to talk about. The Global Triathlon Awards. Now, we're not really sure how this is going to go or how big this is, but it sounds like it's going to be pretty cool because it's got all the major players in triathlon involved in it.
Yeah, they are calling it the GTAs, and if you live in the UK, it sounds a little bit like the NTAs, the National Television Award. I mean, we're getting into awards season, aren't we? So this is going to be held in Nice, France, on the 20th of January next year, and they have got categories for the best swim product, best bike, best run product, outstanding nutrition product, outstanding tech product, best male and female triathlete of the year, rookie of the year, outstanding contributor, and then 2 lifetime kudos awards, 1 for contributor and 1 for the professional triathletes.
Yeah, and nominations for these awards are open today, Wednesday the 26th of October, and they close on Sunday the 6th of November, and you can go to globaltriawards.com to put in your nominations for those awards, and yeah, they'll be crowned at the glittering ceremony apparently in Nice in January.
Oh.
Wonder if we're going to get involved. Now it's time for What the Tech, and we have some updates from those 2 industry players we mentioned earlier, Zwift and Wahoo. Zwift has released a new tour of the Mercury Islands, and this is for the first time a fully on-demand tour, so you can select any stage to race at any time and tick them off. There will be 6 stages that can be checked off by free riding, by doing a workout, doing a club event or a group event on each route, and you can select them all and then complete all 6 and complete the tour. For completing the tour, you will unlock sunglasses, visor, socks, and a kit, which launches the new Mercury Islands expansion of Urukazi, a coastal paradise. And the tour runs from November 3rd to November 30th. And as we said, each stage can be completed whenever you like.
And if you want something a little bit more competitive and something that really will keep you busy on a Tuesday night, the new ZRL Season 2, or for those of you in America, the ZRL Season 2 is back. So this is the racing league that actually gained a huge amount of popularity last winter. It starts on the 9th of November, and you can race in a team. So you can basically choose some other friends or from your local club and all sign up. But it does mean you have to commit to racing every Tuesday night, something which I haven't quite yet managed to.
So no GTN team.
Yeah, I mean,
then,
I think Mark is probably the keen one if we're going to see anybody, and I think Mark did race it
to that either
last
at this
year.
point in my career. No, there are more updates, and this is from the other industry player, Wahoo. They have some Wahoo X updates. Their Wahoo X platform has just launched voice chat on their RGT platform. They've also introduced new mountain bike routes and the ability to take a structured workout outdoors or indoors on the trainer, which is a pretty cool feature. You can use your Element Roam or your Element Bolt to take those RGT routes out onto the real world if you want to.
Yeah, and I like the sound of the RGT voice chat feature because, I mean, indoor riding can be a bit lonely, and any chance to be able to have a conversation whilst you're riding your bike and stay in the warm and dry, that ticks a few boxes for me. You can also use it for coaches who might want to be running a group session and they can give tips to athletes, or if you are into the racing, the tactical side of things.
Yeah. Do you have to be racing to talk, or can you just work in the kitchen while I talk to you and you're on the server?
Or maybe we could both talk to Mark whilst he's racing.
I'll sit on the couch and talk to Mark while he races. Yeah, the mountain bike route is based on the Scottish route in Dunoon and includes changes in road width to single track and something that could maybe replicate Xterra racing if you're into Xterra triathlon.
Or if, like me, you prefer to stay warm and dry and explore the coastal roads of Portugal, Wahoo Systems have the On Location Portugal, which apparently goes along beautiful coastal paths. And there's one more option. There's 2 more additions to the Pro Ride channel with Pro Rides, Mont Ventoux and Tour Down Under.
Yeah, it's always summer and a Tour Down Under. And one more update in our tech news this week, and that is Super Sapiens with Wahoo has now launched the ability to see your live glucose score on your Wahoo head unit. So on your Element Roam or Bolt, one of the newer versions, you can now live stream that Super Sapiens data from your glucose monitor straight to your head unit and see, when your blood sugar is dropping or spiking, and see your performance as you're going as far as a glucose score going, which would have been quite useful when we did that no-fuel Ironman a little
It would have
while
done.
ago.
We might have stopped even sooner there as we saw it going off the cliff.
I was going to say, to be honest, I didn't need a number telling me when I was crashing. I very much knew.
All right, on to race news. And there wasn't actually any pro racing over the weekend, but we did have 2 70.3s, one in Sardinia, Italy, and one in Vouliagmeni in Greece, as well as Ironman California. So if you guys were competing in that, congratulations. Hopefully it all went well. That brings us on to the upcoming races. And obviously we've covered in depth the 70.3 Worlds, but there's another big event happening on the weekend.
That's right. The Super League Grand Final is going to take place in Neom in Saudi Arabia. And if you don't know where Neom in Saudi Arabia is, Google it because it's pretty interesting. It's a futuristic city that is yet to be built, but they're having a championship triathlon there this weekend. So we'll be watching with interest on what actually unfolds there. The actual race itself is the 5th in the series, and there is a whole lot of prize money on the line. 1.8 million in total. 400,000 of that goes to a team prize purse, or 320,000 of that goes to a team prize purse, which is split amongst the top teams. The top team getting 120,000, and the other 1.4 million goes to the athletes. So Hayden Wild, who has already won a bunch of money, is possibly going to walk away with $185,000 after this race, if everything goes well for him again, which there's no reason why it wouldn't. He's been doing really well. Georgia Taylor-Brown could be netting a total of 160,000. Taylor Spivey, 137,000. I mean, these are big numbers. We'll review them after the weekend and see who actually got all that money. But it's going to be exciting racing. They're doing it over the enduro format, which is Super League's version of a long-distance race, really. It's 9 disciplines, so swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, with no breaks in between. And obviously, they're all short swims and bikes and run, but when you put 9 of them back-to-back, that's a lot of disciplines, and it's going to be the toughest who comes out on top. We'll be tuning in to watch that for sure.
All right, it's time to take a look at your photos, but a quick reminder that if you have any, whether you've been competing in those races we mentioned or you're setting up your pain caves ready for winter, do share anything triathlon related using the uploader, which is on screen now, or you can find the link in the description below. And we've got a great few pictures this week. This first one comes from Susan, and she is in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and says, I did my first ever marathon this weekend and I can't be more excited. I had a goal of a sub 4 hour 30 finish. I finished it in 4:39, but still happiest I can be. The only thing I was thinking those last 10K was never again. But when I crossed the finish line, I was like, oh, well, that was fun. Haha, funny how that goes. Now I'm just going to chill for a bit. But my next goal is a triathlon 70.3 next year. Well, Susan, I think there'll be lots of people agreeing with you about that last 10K, won't there?
Yeah. Well done for finishing, Susan. Our next one is from Klemen in Poreč, Croatia. And he says, last week I completed my 4th triathlon and also my 4th 70.3. My goal was to go sub 5 hours. Since last year, I managed to achieve 5:08 in 70.3 Slovenian Istra. In Ironman 70.3 Poreč, I crushed that mark and went 4 hours 40:02. With my goal being qualifying for the World Champs, I seem to be on the right track. You definitely do seem to be on the right track, so keep it up and get that slot. Well done.
Yeah, great. And this last one is from another event. This is a really cool story. It's sent in by Joanna. She says the bike was the rented Lapierre Zelius SL, and this is from Ironman 70.3 Cascais in Portugal. A few months ago, I reached out asking if you thought it was possible, so I presume she means GTN by this, as a total beginner who in January couldn't run for more than 5 minutes straight, to finish an Ironman 70.3 by October. You were encouraging, but also realistic, James is chuckling here, saying there was a lot of hard work that needed to be done. Now, she says, after a 5-month training plan, moving countries for work and having my bike got lost in the mail service, I'm happy to say that me and my rental flat pedal bike finished the Ironman 70.3 in 7 hours 52. It would have not been possible without the help and advice in your videos. Thank you, GTN. Joanna, congratulations. I think that's such a great achievement, isn't it?
Well done, Joanna. I'm sure Heather was the encouraging one and I was the realistic one in that advice, but well done for doing it. That is very impressive, and on a rented bike too. Didn't make it easy on yourself. Well done. And now it's time for the caption competition. And last week we had this photo of someone approaching the finish line and looking a bit frustrated. And it seems you guys were so busy putting all your comments in on the Ironman World Champs that you didn't put too many caption competitions in. But we do have some answers. Velo David said, how am I supposed to finish with this in the way?
We've got one from Andy Taylor. Hands up, who wants a beer?
Yeah,
it's always a safe bet.
Yeah. Herschel says, hashtag caption contest. What every Ironman participant does not want to hear. You're under arrest. Hands up, freeze. Take one more step and I shoot. Quite dramatic.
Yeah, very dramatic. Our winner, though, of the GTN water bottle is Colin B with this. It's typical, you win your race and they tape off the finish line. Well,
yeah, see what you did there. Yeah.
Well done, Colin.
Well done, Colin. Get in touch with us and we'll get that prize out to you. This week, we have this photo of some clown with his feet up on the bike. And I'm going to go with... Ref, what do you mean drafting? I'm not drafting, I'm working hard here.
Well, you've got us off to a good start, James, so you guys know what to do. Make sure you leave your suggestions in the comments section below. And that brings this week's show to a close. We've got a volcano triathlon coming up. I'm sure James could tell us a little bit more about that. Do you want to give us a tease?
That's going to be an interesting one. Another adventure in Kona, much like that triathlon where that photo just came from. Very different adventure in Kona, though, the volcano triathlon. So tune in this weekend for that. If you're looking for something to watch right now, we have a very interesting video on carbon shoes and the truth behind them. So you can click over and watch that right now. Thanks for watching. Remember to head over to the GTN shop if you're interested in any of this awesome apparel that we're wearing. And don't forget to like this video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to GTN so you don't miss any of our videos.